Welcome to the tutorial for Vertex Colour Controls. Vertex Colour Controls is a set of tools that allows you to more precisely apply vertex colours to your meshes, along with a few extra bits and bobs. I initially created this add-on because without it I was unable to apply vertex colours across multiple meshes at once. And that's one of the first features I created for this. I'm now going to show you two examples of how I like to use this add-on. Firstly, I'll show you the raw model itself, and then after that I'll show you what it looks like in Unity using a custom shader. So firstly, we have this pyramid mesh. Isolating the red channel, you can see I've used this to shade the model. It's got these kind of fake ambient occlusion like dark patches in the gaps, and also individual bricks shaded as well. Then here the white areas represent where sand is. You also see some light sand going up the side of the pyramid, and once you see that in Unity, you'll be able to see a very subtle effect of sand being blown up the side of the pyramid. The blue channel is being used to indicate where there is a metallic surface. And the alpha channel is the emissive. Then we have this low poly clothesline. In this one we've used the red, the green and the blue channels just simply for colour. And the alpha channel is for the fake wind effect. The black areas are not affected at all, and the white areas are completely affected. We're going to go through the installation process of the add-on. So go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, Install, find the location where you've downloaded the add-on, select it, press Install Add-on. Then click the checkbox next to VCC. The add-on is now enabled, and in the preferences here we have the VCC key binding, which by default is set to Alt-C. We also have the preset directory. This is where your custom palettes are saved. If you leave it blank, it's going to save them in the root folder of Blender's installation. I would advise you to set a custom location to avoid losing or overwriting those files. So now we'll just add in a mesh. And we need to set up the scene so that you're able to see the vertex colors that you apply to the mesh. So first of all, if you go down to the Material Properties tab here, you can see that we don't have a material applied to the mesh at the moment. And in the drop-down menu here, you can only see the default materials, so it isn't yet in the scene. So if you open up the VCC menu, there's a button down the bottom here, Locate, Import, Channel Viewer. If you click that, that brings the material into the scene. Now you see we've got some new options that are populated at the bottom of the menu. And if we go back to the Material Properties tab, press the drop-down again, you see we've got the VCC Channel Viewer material. Select that. Now it's been applied to the mesh. We still can't see it though, because we need to go to Material Preview mode. Now you can see it's been applied. When I open up the VCC menu here, you see we have three main tabs: Strength, Color, and Gradient. Strength and Color, very similar. Gradient a bit different. First of all, we're going to go through the Strength menu. So at the top here, you've got your channel selectors: red, green, blue, and the alpha channel. So you can select or deselect any combination of these you want to work with at one time. Then below this, you've got the strength value that you're currently using: 0 to 1, 0 being black, 1 being white. As when you work with each channel, you're working in a grayscale value. On the left here, you've got the ability to copy a value from your chosen selection, and you've also on the right got the ability to apply the current value to your chosen selection. Currently, this mesh, if we go to the Object Data Properties panel, you can see here that it doesn't have a vertex color layer. Once we apply a value to it, VCC will automatically add and name a layer. And the name will be relevant because anything that you add using VCC will be applied to that layer. You can also set a custom layer name using this option here. By default, when Blender adds a new vertex color layer to the mesh, every vertices will be colored in white, as you'll see here. So if I apply a strength value to all the channels there, we will add a black value. See there, it's added the new layer and it's applied black to that vertex, but everything else is still white. Personally, I like to start from a blank slate, so I like to select all of the vertices and then apply black to all of them. So now we're going to apply a single value to the red channel. Apply a value of 1. Now we get red. The next one there, disable red, go to green, and lastly blue. And then if we go down here, we'll select the eyes, and we'll do the alpha channel, which obviously you can't see at the moment. This is where we come to the channel viewer. So we can see grayscale version of the red channel, the green channel, the blue channel, and the alpha. And then also red, green, and blue together. So the copy strength value button here, I'll quickly show you how that works. If I select this vertex over here and copy that, we have to select which channel we want to copy it from. So if we do it from green here, it's going to bring up a value of 0 because there's obviously no green there. If we press it again, select the red channel, we get 0.25. And do it here, it's a bit brighter. 0.5, and this one is 0.75. There you go. So next, we'll go through the presets. And if you hover the mouse over that, that brings down this drop down. At the moment, we don't have any presets though. So if we press the plus icon here, that adds the current strength value to the presets. And if we were to change that a bit, press it again, we get that one. Do it once more. And another one. Okay, so just to the right of the plus icon, you got the lock. If you press the lock, that allows you to edit the presets in terms of position, and you can also delete them. So we can move that one down the list a bit, move it back up. Go down the bottom here, we can delete that one, and we'll just add it again. And then if you press the dropper icon, that's going to select that preset as your current strength value. So if you click that, it brings it down to 0.31, 0.73, and so on. Then on the right, you have the heart icons, and this allows you to set a value as a favorite. So if I select this one here, and I go up here, this heart icon changes it so it only views the current favorite selection. So it only shows the 0.94 there. If we go back and we add 0.31, press it again, you see the two values together. At the bottom of the list here, you'll see two arrow buttons, and you've got numbers here that tell you what part of your preset selection you're currently viewing. So we're viewing 1 to 4 out of 4. And if we add a bunch more, let's edit these a bit so that we can actually see when the page moves. And then if we press down, it moves us further down the list. The same with up. So you can see now, we can see preset 1 to 10 out of 12. Preset 3 to 12 out of 12. Also with the presets here, they aren't scene dependent or project dependent. You're going to see this in any Blender file that you open up. Your presets will be persistent across all Blender files. Next we have the color tab. You've got the same functions as strength. You've got copy, you've got the color value itself, which brings up a color wheel. You can set the alpha channel down there. And you also have the set color button there. So as before, let's do this time with a few faces. Select these, apply this color, and there we go. You got a hard edged color value on there because we used face selection. And if I then change the color, but then decided I want to get that color back, I could select vertex there and copy the color, brings it back. And similarly, as with the strength tab, you also have the ability to save presets. And the final tab we're going to show is the gradient tab, which is divided into 3 sub-tabs: linear, spherical, and normal. We'll get onto this section in a moment. Firstly, you'll see here the engine selection, which is currently at the default of Eevee. It gives you a warning message down here that you can't bake any gradient colors when you're in anything but the Cycles engine, so we'll switch over to that now. And that brings up the channel selector, which is red, green, and blue. And when we come to baking colors, you bake those with that button, depending on which ones you had selected. And then if you wanted to bake the alpha channel, use the button below. And finally, we're also going to make use of the gradient viewer selections down here. So as with Vertex Color selection, you can also see in the 4 channels and the RGB combined. We'll just go down to RGB for now. Just before I go into demonstrating the gradient tab fully, I would like to point out that the only part of VCC's remit that you can't alter from the VCC panel itself is the color ramp, which you have to go down to the material properties to do. And then you can change the interpolation values. You can also change the individual colors on the ramp. You can add extra ones as well. But I'll just stick with the default here at the moment. So, as you can see there, the 0 value is at 0 in space at the moment, and 1 meter away is the 1 value of the color ramp. So as a quick demonstration, I will quickly show you the 3 types of gradient and just set up some examples of those. So you can see I'm adjusting the Y rotation, and I'm going to scale that up a bit. And let's see, let's move it down. You can see at the moment I'm still in local space because that is false. And because it's in local space, any changes to the rotation or the position of the mesh will come with it. If we switch that over to world space, you can see it carries on directly through it. If we bring that down, it'll make it quite obvious. And if we toggle mirror, we get a gradient on both sides of the origin point. And spherical, this basically works as a fade from the origin point outwards. So the minimum value represents 0 on the color ramp, and the maximum represents 1 on the color ramp. So if we were to change this up a bit, so that's at 0.8 at the moment, so that's 0.8 from the center of this, and bring that down for a very tight gradient. If you go below the minimum, if you take the maximum below the minimum, then end up with an inverted gradient. Switch that back to default. And these are also subject to positional offsets as well. And we'll give it a quick demonstration of that. At the moment there you can see the center of each head is contributing towards the gradient. And if we go to world space, it's from the origin point. And lastly, we have the normal gradient. So this is based on the normal direction of each vertex. So to make that a bit more obvious, let's change the balance up there. At the moment we're working in local space. The normal direction that I have at the moment is 0, 0, 1, which is directly up. If I change that over to world space, you can see it now does not respect the rotation of the mesh. Back to local space, and it does. And as this mode feeds off the normal direction, whether or not you have flat or smooth shading also plays into the final result. So once you've set up a gradient that works for you, then select the mesh, and then like you're applying a strength value or a color value, you select all the vertices that you want to apply it to. Just for this example, I'm just going to select them all, bring up the menu, and you can come down to the bake section here, and you can use the top bake option, which is the red, green and blue channels, or the alpha channel, which is a separate bake. So choose the selection that you want to work with. I'll just use them all, press bake, and then that's baked them down to the vertex color view. So you've got the original gradient and then the vertex color view. And that is Vertex Colour Controls.